We're going to call to order the meeting, the June 22nd, 2021 regular board meeting of the Ukiah Mesa Joint Unified School District. If you wouldn't mind standing and joining us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will note that all board members are present this evening. And now we'll move on to 4.04, adopt the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda as presented? Okay. No changes to the agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
So moved.
I have a motion by board member Ingram.
Second.
And a second by board member Bannister. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries 5-0. Now we're moving on to public comment. We do have one letter that I'll be reading as public comment to the board. In addition to being unlawful, it is also immoral to attempt to force our children to cover and restrict their airway against their will in an effort to appease the irrational fears of the collective. It is just as reprehensible as barring someone access to a restaurant based on the color of their skin. This mask mandate creates undue burden on our children and discriminates against them who wish to breathe freely and unencumbered as God created them under the threat of our governor and his unlawful mandates. In the past year, Americans have experienced unprecedented government overreach at all levels. It is imperative to a free society that individual rights be held above all else during good times, but even more so during times of crisis or emergency, and those are in quotes. Government has no business and no authority to meddle in anyone's decision to wear or be subjected to an unwanted, unnecessary medical device. Hospitals and medical clinics recognize that patients have a fundamental human right to refuse any treatment, test, drug, etc. for any disease, and that informed consent must be provided to the patient prior to performing any treatment. This is government pointing their guns at the citizenry. Citizens who they and you have sworn an oath to serve, but instead falsely prescribing without medical expertise or experience that everyone, with few exceptions, be forced to wear a medical device, muzzle in parentheses, in public, regardless of whether they are ill or not, disregarding the scientific data. This is anti-liberty and antithetical to basic human rights and freedoms. Not only are masks ineffective at preventing COVID-19, influenza, and other related diseases, there is mounting evidence that they are actually detrimental. The Dan Mask 19 study, which is the only randomized controlled trial study of its kind, the highest form of scientific study involving over 6,000 participants over several months, concluded there was no significant statistical difference between those who wore masks and those who did not in regards to the transmission of COVID-19. Researchers at the Association of American Physicians and Surgeons concluded that wearing masks are not effective at preventing transmission. Wearing masks other than N95 will not be effective at preventing SARS-CoV-2 transmission, whether worn as source, control, or as PPE. N95s protect healthcare workers, but are not recommended for source control transmission. Surgical masks are better than cloth, but not very efficient at preventing emissions from infected patients. Cloth masks resulted in significantly higher rates of infection than medical masks and also perform worse in the control arm, some of whom may have worn masks. The virus may survive on the surface of the face mask. Self-contamination through repeated use and improper doffing is possible. Contaminated cloth mask may transfer pathogen from the mask to the bare hands of the wearer. Moisture retention, reuse of cloth masks, and poor filtration may result in increased risk of infection. This could also cause forms of cancer from breathing in their own CO2. Please look over the data of studies done over the year on children wearing masks and vote to fully remove the mask mandate or at least make it optional for our children when they return to school next year. Thank you for your consideration. And this was signed by Kelly Keenan. Thank you. Okay, now we're moving on to recognitions. 6.01, we're going to begin with the superintendent recognition of district employees going the distance. Ms. Biggs.
Thank you, President Stallings. I would like to turn this over to Dr. Eric Freeman, our Assistant Superintendent of Business Services, to recognize an employee that's really done an outstanding job this year.
Thank you, President Stallings, members of the board, Mrs. Binks. I have with me here one of our superstar employees. I'm going to talk about her a little bit, and I know this is hard for her. She likes to be behind the scenes, but she does so much. So I'd like to introduce you to Lori McGran. Lori's been with us for 16 years in the business services department. She was started as a senior account clerk, also did our attendance, and now is our health and welfare department. So there is not a department, it's Lori. So tonight we recognize her for going the distance, and as a one-woman department running the show for not only all of our employees, but our retirees, well over 1,000 employees, on her normal job duties and making sure everyone's in the right place. This year we asked her, CSEA came to us and asked to switch our health insurance plan. And so Lori, with a smile, I'm sure she's smiling now, did that with an incredible job. When you switch a health carrier, you have to do a healthcare audit. So everyone has to bring in all their paperwork, their marriage certificates, their birth certificates for their children. It's an incredible amount of work. And she did it flawlessly. She was ahead of a week. She did it with kindness. She would push those who need to be pushed. I know she went out to different departments. She went to school sites and she met employees where they were. She was at M&O in a high school, and she always offers that amount of service. So an incredible job. We had a seamless transition. Just could be happier to have her as part of our department. Incredible employee, dedicated to not only employees here, but the retirees, and has been for 16 years. I can stand up here and speak for hours on Lori. We so much appreciate her and love her in our department. So we give you a pin. It's called Going the Distance, and it says I make a difference. So congratulations and thank you for your continued service, and especially this transition. So congratulations.
Thank you all. Hope you can hear me. I sometimes lose my voice by the end of the day because I talk so much all day long. So I just wanted to thank the board, our cabinet, Jamie, Callie, Eric. It's not everybody gets has the pleasure of coming to work and enjoying what you do. And I've enjoyed every minute of being here for the last 16 years. I love the people, I love the goals, the mission. I wish I could be a teacher, but I just can't. I'm very happy back in my little corner doing my thing, but I feel like the support I give to our staff and to our teachers and people at health benefits can be an anxiety, especially during COVID. So it's been kind of a rough year. And of course, everybody calls me, so I get to absorb all the stuff going on. But I just feel if I can do my little piece in the world to make it better and to support those of you that are out there doing all the good work and helping the kids and whatnot, I feel like I'm contributing to that and doing my little piece and stuff. So I do enjoy being back behind in my little corner doing my thing, but again, it's just my way of being able to support everybody, and I just want to share too. I appreciate everybody. I really enjoy coming to work. I enjoy everything, and I'm so proud of what everybody's doing here. And of course, I've lived in the community for a long time, so you get to just see it. My kids are grown and don't go here anymore, but they all went through the schools from the time they were in kindergarten, and it's such a special place. So I just want to thank you all. Thank you, Eric, too, my new boss, who's been a joy to work with. So I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Lori, for all that you do for our district. Any other board members have comments?
Yes, I'm sure that you think that it's a little piece, but it's probably a really, really big piece, Lori. So great job.
You're the person to know in the back, that's for sure.
Debbie?
Just sounds like you've done an incredible job, and you said I'm not a teacher, but you're important. You're important to the district. You're important to everybody that works here. Good job. Good job. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, speaking as a board member and as a retired teacher, thank you very much, because you helped me navigate that retirement piece. And I really appreciate it, because I was nervous.
Thank you, Lori. Okay, We're now moving on to item 6.02, educational services recognition of Yucaipa bus service. Dr. Anderson.
Thank you, President Stellings. At this time, I'd like to invite in Mr. Jim Stoltz, our current Executive Director of Student Services, to help in our recognition of Yucaipa bus service.
Good evening, everyone. President Stellings, members of the board, Superintendent Davis and Cabinet. Well, I'm very honored this evening to have an opportunity to share a little bit and to be a part of the recognition for our Yucaipa bus service. And with me tonight is Dan Bliss and his super assistant Polly, who are part of the brains behind our wonderful team at Yucaipa Bus. As you all know, Yucaipa Bus, even before the pandemic, was an integral part of what we do every day, transporting our students with disabilities. And it's all mainly locally, but as far away, sometimes Rialto and Riverside, we have some students who go to California School of the Deaf, and they run a wonderful program, doing routes, getting the drivers in the right place, connecting with families, being sure our students get to where they need to get transportation-wise. So they were an amazing organization. Even before the pandemic, I had an opportunity to work with them regularly, and then the pandemic comes. And we dramatically, in this topsy-turvy year that we've had, they have done amazing things. You know, we started the school year without busing, and then we said, let's have you deliver some meals to families who need that support. And they worked with our child nutrition department and did that. In January, as you all know, we started our cohort program, and from scratch, they built routes for that. And we added hybrid on top of cohorts, another whole set of bus routes. And then let's just throw minimum day schedules and other things towards the end. I have to say, I think I called Dan and Holly a couple of times a week there, and it was so professional, so amazing. It was, what's the latest? What do we need to do today? There were times when we had to navigate and brainstorm and plan, because there's always zingers that kind of come up. But I'm extremely pleased and honored to work with these two individuals. I know you guys have made an amazing impact on students left and right all over our community. We just wanted to have an opportunity tonight to say thank you, and to thank you not only for us, but for everybody in our town who benefits from their work. Thank you guys. And this is on behalf of our board, a small certificate of appreciation.
Thank you.
Want to say something? No? You don't have to.
Dan is a man of few words, so that's okay.
Well, I appreciate Jim's help. This is not our first rodeo, but it's been one of the toughest this year. Working with him is great. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you. Thank you.
Brenda?
The bus service, the bus service has been a long time fixture here in Yucaipa, and really appreciate the changes you've made, when we had to downside from buses several years ago, and then all the things you've made changes, you just have always accommodated us. And I think that's something to really remember, that there's a local company that's really supporting the school district.
Thank you.
Very
Board Member Bannister.
Yeah, thank you very much. It is, getting the kids where they need to be is crucial. Thank you so much.
Member Miller.
Just thank you for this, for all the years, but this year especially. I know there have been many changes, and we really appreciate all that you've done for the kids and for the district.
And yeah, thank you for just showing grace and perseverance and making sure that those in our community that needed food got what they needed. Very much appreciate it.
Thank you. And Ms. Bates.
Thank you so much. So we consider you a part of our team, and we were just reminiscing right when the shutdown happened. I was sitting alone, all alone at the reception desk. Nobody else was here, and the phone rang, and I said, Yucaipa School District. He goes, this is Dan. What are we doing? We had a really nice conversation about, none of us knew what we were going to be doing, but luckily, Dan continues to answer our calls, and we appreciate that so much. So as a part of our team, Mr. Bradley, our communications specialist, is going to give you both, Holly and Dan, going to distance pins as well. So thank you so much for taking care of our kids. Thank you. We so appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're now moving on to one more recognition. This is the Board of Education, a recognition of the Association of California School Administrators Region 12 Administrator Superintendent of the Year, Ms. Bates. So if I'd have known her husband was bringing flowers, I would have not brought it until I really didn't mean to upstage you. I didn't want to waste them either, so.
I
Can't have too many flowers.
flowers, that's good.
There you go, there's thorns in them. Okay, so just to make the record clear, it was not Callie's desire to put this item on the agenda this evening. Those of you who know Callie know that she is selfless. She puts people ahead of her and before her in all situations, and has always been that way as long as I have known her. And it's quite a deal for her to be the AXA Region 12. This is out of dozens and dozens of superintendents in the Region 12 area. I don't know how many superintendents are, I know it's a lot. But Callie was chosen as the Superintendent of the Year, and I couldn't agree more with AXA in selecting her as Superintendent of the Year. We are blessed to have you. And I know that we've got some more recognitions that are gonna come, and I'm gonna actually call up Ms. Lucia Huddick right now. And Lucia is gonna help facilitate a couple of presentations along with Dr. Anderson, I think. So we're not done with you yet, Callie. We've got a little bit more to go, so congratulations, and then we're gonna make some comments at the end too.
This is weird.
Yes, it is weird. Good evening, President Snellings, Clerk Ingram, and members of the Board of Education. My name is Lucia Huddick, and I'm the Director of Special Projects for about another week. And then I'll be happily joining Sharon in retirement after 33 years. But I want to share a special story. I've had the pleasure of serving as the president of the Yucaipa Management Team, a part of the Region 12 Association of California School Administrators. Superintendent Binks was nominated this year for consideration for the AXA Region 12 Superintendent of the Year Award. In February, our chapter was informed that from a very competitive field, just as President Snellings was stating, Callie was selected for this prestigious award. In March, we were informed that Callie's application had made it for consideration as a state finalist in the same category. That is no small feat out of 1,040 school districts in the state of California. That's a big deal. I'd like to share some highlights from Callie's nomination. I have it all organized. All right, there are certain categories. The first category, and I'll make this quick, I only highlighted a few things. The first category is commitment to educational quality and student achievement and a vision of learning. And in the application, it states that Superintendent Callie Binks promotes the success of all students through her commitment to the personal philosophy that all children can learn. Creating an environment for that to happen is an everyday goal of hers. Next, the category states promoting success of all students by advocating, nurturing, and sustaining the school culture. And I wrote in here, along with my colleagues, Callie knows and understands that modeling and practicing effective and caring communication strategies along with staff development begins with boots on the ground. So she partners with all of us and our Yucaipa Calamasa families and employees in doing that and sustaining a healthy school culture. She's known as a hands-on superintendent and makes personal phone calls and connects with stakeholders to stay in touch, to solve a problem, or check in after a tough situation. Her ability to do this is sincere in nature, and the stakeholders feel this connection. What you see is what you get with Callie Binks. There are no hidden agendas and no unkind words, just a natural heart on your sleeve personal code of ethics. In issues and problems facing public education and in responding to diverse community interests and needs, it is very important to note that Callie Binks and to note that she's very involved in our community with our greater community of stakeholders. And when she first came to Yucaipa Calamasa, she made it her mission to become involved in our community and get to know the people who also are involved in our community. That's very important in order to build relationships. Callie has creatively been at the forefront in dealing with student homelessness and with parent needs through establishing Family Promise, resulting in student success along with another cohort of people. Superintendent Binks has been a longtime contributing member to AXA. She's very down to earth. Quotes from people will state that, as you will see. Her involvement continues also with area lawmakers in making things happen. She works through the San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools, California School Boards Association, this community, and SANDABS. And I wish I knew what all of SANDABS meant, but I don't. I don't know. What it means.
It's about achieving for schools.
Okay, that's it. So, on behalf, and I also gave a copy of your application to your husband, so he has that. Okay. So, in conclusion, for all of this and all you do every single day for our school district and the greater community, sincere congratulations on behalf of your AXA team and our school district. And so you received a special award from Region 12.
Oh, very good.
And then we thought Vance is incredibly, Mr. Bradley, our public information officer, is incredibly creative. So bring that on over here. So when we were compiling and getting quotes from parents and from colleagues and from school sites and members of the other members of the community, it was just so much, it wouldn't all fit into one place. So we decided to put it into a word cloud. And as you can see, students is at the heart in the middle. And then you can see honoring diversity, making a difference, leadership, kindness, sincerity. All of these descriptors came from the field. We said Callie was boots on the ground. These came from the boots on the ground, these descriptors. And I think this is like, I love that. And so thank you, Lance, for making that happen. Okay. Of course. Back over to Mr. Snell. Do you have, or am I doing it?
Yeah.
Okay. Whoops, I caught you by
That's all
surprise,
right.
Mr. Snell.
We'll make it work.
I'm so sorry.
We'll make it
And
work.
so we have one more recognition, and so I would like to invite field representative from Senator Vogue's office, Sid Song. Thank you for coming up.
So, President, members of the board, thank you so much for having me here in person today. The senator is incredibly proud of Ms. Banks, and it's an honor to be here in person to recognize her. And if the board permits, I'd like to read.
Go for it, yeah, of course.
So Ms. Banks, in recognition of your outstanding leadership in academic achievement and your work on behalf of students, teachers, and the community, your commitment to providing a rigorous education that extends the opportunity for all students to achieve success academically, vocationally, and personally is deserving of our highest commendation.
Thank you very much. You could safely take a picture. Would you like us to go in the light?
Yeah, that's great.
And then you got to come do. Would you like to go in the light? With the board lights to join me? Yes.
Yeah,
Want to come?
yeah, we can do that. You want to take something out of your hand?
Yeah, I get a nice shot. I just think
Yeah, absolutely.
This does sound nice. Okay.
You go, and I'm right over your shoulder.
Okay, I'll go first, and then you'll go second, and then you'll go third. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Nice.
Okay, right here, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Probably not Lance's, I'm close enough.
I think you count
All right.
as 3. Thank you so much, I appreciate it. Pass that on
Hey, you can't put it on the wall, real fall, it's still there.
So before we go into board member comments, Kelly, would you like to come up and present your wife with those flowers? that you made to her?
I was gonna like give the proclamation, do a re-gift here. That's to me. Gosh, I wasn't prepared for a speech.
That's okay.
But I did get flowers. I even Googled like what for congratulations.
Red Roses is always a hit, but I saw those and just had to get those. One thing that's left out, because I'm sure you all probably know, but was left out is just a wonderful wife, a wonderful mother, a wonderful grandmother, a wonderful in-law. So say most of my mother. And just a wonderful person overall, and what you see is what you get, whether you like that or not with her. Lucia did bring up, genuine and heartfelt, and that really describes her. When I first met her, when we first started dating, I should say, after a couple of months, she was like a teacher on assignment. She was in between the classroom and in between going to the admin. And I said, so what do you want to do ultimately with your career? Without a beat, I'm going to be a superintendent someday. And it just hit me. I was an officer. And I'm like, I wasn't thinking of being the chief of police at that point. And I never was, so it kind of made sense. But her heart is always there for the students and the community. And she's gone through a tough year and a half like everybody else has. And I just applaud President Snelling's, Clerk Ingram, members of the board, and Callie's cabinet. Everybody has worked very, very hard to be where we are right now. And that's a successful Ukiah-Calumet school district. And so I applaud you, and I applaud everybody else, along with the support personnel within the district office, and of course the teachers and community staff at the schools. So thank you very much.
Not off the hook yet, but I know the board members want to make some comments. Board member Ingram, Clerk Ingram.
Sure. I think I may be the only one that was here when we hired you.
Yeah.
And so thank you. I'll take all the thank yous because Callie has been an excellent superintendent. But I remember one thing in the interview when we talked about, she was coming from Fontana, huge district. And she was talking about how she had these meetings several times a week that went till midnight, 1 o'clock. All of her board meetings went till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. It seemed like we said, oh, we're not like that. You won't have that kind of work here in Ukiah. It'll be a lot less. And then this year came, and I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. But you have taken on jobs that a lot of times I sit there and I think, okay, she's off to do this for all the rest of the superintendents in the region, or she's off to do this for another district. And then I think about how great of a leader you are. I knew I wouldn't do this without crying. But your leadership, even though you go outside of our district sometimes to do things, the other people are so lucky because we get you for everything and they get you for just a few things, but we are lucky. You worked on things that when we talked about hiring you, we did want you to get involved with the community, but then you ended up developing and working with getting the foundation going. You worked on Family Promise. You worked on things that you don't normally associate necessarily with a school particularly, but you did those things because you knew they were part of the community and that it helped the school district. And we really do appreciate that. You are a nurturing person that was written in the application to the point that I think everybody brings you their problems because they know that you'll listen and that you really do care. And that's what makes you such a good leader, because you do care.
That's great. Ms. Ben.
Okay, so when I first came on the board, and you were very gracious when I first came and met with you when I was running, and you were very gracious and kind. And I thought, no, that's wonderful. But the kicker was when I saw you go into the classrooms, when we were back in the day when we were going into classrooms, you knew everybody's name. You knew the name of someone's dog. You knew, they gave you hugs. It's like their friend had come to visit. That is not the way superintendents in my 34 years of teaching, that's not the way they behave. That is so special, that bond, that personal bond. And I know that your mantra is, we do what's best for kids. And by having that bond with all the people, from the custodians to the food service, to the teachers, to your fellow superintendents, your goal is to achieve what's best for our kids. That is a really amazing talent you have, lady. And we are so lucky to have you. And you make everyone feel like they're your personal friend. You're right. So you start, we start one of our meetings and she says, how are you? Well, let me tell you. It's like, no, this is a professional meeting. Okay, bring it in. Thank you very much. You're wonderful. This is all very well deserved. I'm so glad that it happened this year because you need to be lifted up because this was hard. And you did it with grace and a smile. Thank you.
Board Member Miller.
So it's been 8 years, right, that you were here, right? 8 years. So I met you then, 8 years ago, and I was a parent in the district. And from the beginning, you were so approachable. If I had any questions, you were right there. You never made me feel like, oh, I wasn't important. You make everyone feel that what they have to say is important. You listen and you might learn from it or you might make things happen, but you listen and I can see that. And something else that I noticed, this year we haven't really been able to do a lot of visiting and stuff, but going to the graduations, I saw how much you love the kids and the staff and everything. I saw you hugging a student that was struggling this year to graduate, and you hugged her so long and you cried, and that's real. You really love these kids. It was so evident. And I see that when you see staff, parents, you're hugging everybody. and I could see, and you are a crier, but it's real. I can see that and I appreciate that. And I'm just so happy to be working with you. I'm so excited. Thank you for everything you do for the district. I'm wowed. When I started here, I did not realize, I knew you did a lot, but I did not know you did that much. Speaking of that, working weekends, really? Constantly. So you're just amazing, and this district wouldn't be what it is without you. So I really, really appreciate you. Thank you for everything. Well deserved. Thank you. Well deserved.
A common theme here, big heart. I knew it the first time I sat down with you in our 2 or 3 hours, our very first meeting with the two of us. I was already in awe of you with the things that you were telling me that you wanted to accomplish, and you had already accomplished so much in our community and with our kids in our school district. Everything you do shows how much you love people and the kids that you are working for. So everything you do is very much appreciated, very well deserved. Thank you so much for all that you do.
Thank you.
So Callie, I met you when I was assistant superintendent in Colton. We were working together on some projects, and I became favorable of you immediately. We hit it off right. You have a kind of a similar sense of humor that I do, and I can tell that you're a caring person, and you were always very serious in the meetings and serious about what we were doing for kids, but also just so easy to work with. And I always really appreciated that. You are, and you know how I feel about you. You're special, and I think that we all know that. So now it's your turn. If you'd like to say anything.
Well, first of all, it's a bit overwhelming, but thank you so much. I so appreciate Patty, being selected to be a part of this community in this district. And I remember the board saying it would be helpful if you lived here. And I know my husband and I don't live anyplace else. We're definitely Ukipians for sure. And it has just been really an honor to get to know people and be able to support our kids. All of the things you can do in a small district, opposed to a large district where I came from, is instead of doing all the real upper level things, you really get to roll up your sleeves and work with kids and know why a student wasn't going to graduate because she needed a specific book, and to be able to find that student and watch her graduate, doing those things. That's why I love being in this district, in this community. I would be remiss if I didn't thank my husband, because when you say work weekends, he comes up with a lot. I'm not home very often, but then I would take the opportunity
to speak to our family that's here. I don't know if you're one family, but if you are one family or you're three families, not sure. But, you know, this really has been a tough and taxing year on everybody. And the rules and regulations are so out of our control. I've never felt so helpless as a leader in my whole life. And the chaos and confusion that's been around. And this community is an amazing community. And we rally around our kids and we all try to do what's best. And even when we can't do what we want to do or we disagree, we find common ground to move on and support our kids. And when people come to the meetings, it helps because it shows interest. And so thank you for being here. And I would love to sit down and chat with you. We have amazing staff that wants to do great things for kids with the support of a really good board. And in a normal year, I don't know, there would probably be more wooing and less tears about things, but I know that as we come out of this darn pandemic, we're gonna be a stronger district, a tighter knit community, and a family that just goes on to support our kids to great successes. So I wanna thank Lucia and the AXA team here and then the AXA regional team for even considering an application. I don't know how you wrote it in between COVID, but thank you. And Lance, I hope you'll hang that picture because it's beautiful. I hang it myself, we're not allowed to. So thank you so very much and for taking this amount of time to spend, you know, just to think about the things we do in the district. And thank you to Jamie and Eric as well, who you can't get all the work done by yourself. You gotta have people that'll do the work with you. So I appreciate you guys more than you know. And all our principals and all our custodians, child nutrition, maintenance operations, and everybody. And we tell Senator Brooke, thank you so much, Sid. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. So now we're moving on to 7.01 board committee reports. The Colton Redlands Ukipa Regional Occupational Program. Ms. Bannister, do you have anything to report?
Not that I can remember.
Thought you had something. That's okay. That's fine.
Didn't we do that last? Oh, we didn't do that last time. Huh?
So we did have I'll just do it briefly.
Yeah.
We did have a CRI-ROC meeting and we always get a report on what's going on in Ukipa, Calimesa, and I thought this was an interesting one. Our construction technology shop is receiving a new dust collector system. Now, this isn't a knickknack that sits on a shelf in your house that collects dust. This is like a high-level vacuum in our construction program that is really going to improve the air quality for our kids, and it costs quite a bit of a coin to get that. So that was good. And then also our Mesa View and Parkview middle school students completed some bridge projects, like actual bridges, and competed in a strength test. You're an engineer, so I'm looking at you. And the winning structures at Mesa View, first place held 160 pounds and second place held 130 pounds. So the kids constructed some bridges to hold some heavy items. And those are a couple of things that we were told about. So it's exciting to see kids doing things like that. We're now going to move on into our action session. Item 8.01 is the second review of board policy 1113 district and school websites. Do I have a motion to approve 8.01?
So moved. Second.
A motion by board member Miller and a second by board member Ingram. Any questions? I don't think so. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries 5-0. Now 8.02.
Would like to abstain from that one.
Okay. This is a resolution approving full compensation of board member Ingram for the month of May 2021. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move approval.
We have a motion by board member Bannister. I'll second the item. All those, any questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? And we have board member Ingram abstaining. We're now moving on to employment agreement amendments for our cabinet and for our superintendent. And I believe all these are kind of the Me Too piece with giving our administrators raises like the rest of the staff. And if the board is okay with it, I'd like to take
because they're amendments, can we take them all, we can take them individually?
Okay, I will do that. Okay, we'll take them individually.
I move approval of 8.03.
Okay, I have a motion and a second, 8.03 for the employment agreement amendment for the Assistant Superintendent of Business Services. All those in favor say aye. Aye, opposed, abstained. Motion carries 5-0. 8.04, this is the employment agreement amendment for the Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move approval. Second.
I have a motion and a second. A motion by Board Member Bannister, a second by Board Member Coat. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstained. Motion carries 5-0. 8.05 is the agreement amendment for the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
And I got a motion by Board Member Ingram and a second by Board Member Coat. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye, carries 5-0. And then finally, employment, not finally, sorry, I guess we have one more. An employment agreement amendment for the superintendent.
Move approval.
I have a motion by Board Member Bannister, a second by Board Member Ingram. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, and motion carries 5-0. 8.07 is the superintendent presenting an employee contract for the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move approval.
Having a motion by Board Member Bannister, do I have a second?
Second.
A second by Board Member Coat. Any additional items or questions regarding that?
Just an introduction when you're finished.
Okay. Finish with this particular one? Okay. All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Chair votes aye. Motion carries 5-0. And I believe that Ms. Finks would like to introduce our new Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources.
Yes, it's with great pleasure that we are able to invite Mr. Stoltz to come to the microphone. Earlier in the evening, he was introduced as the then Executive Director of Special Services. Mr. Stoltz has been a principal and a director and many other roles and principals at many schools in the district, elementary, middle school, and has been here for quite some time. And now will take the seat as the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources with the big job of making sure we have quality employees here to serve our students and to keep the heart of the district beating.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, board. Thank you, everybody, for your support, and definitely look forward to the challenge and the job ahead. There was a great team of people, not only on cabinet, but in the district. It's a great place to work for. I started in 1992 as a teacher at Parkview. I think Ms. Bannister was there. And,
I was.
And that was a century ago, it seems. But so happy to be here to continue the good work and be a part of this great family team. So thank you.
Well, Jim, you know, you taught my kids and you're a principal for my youngest son, and things have kind of come full circle, and I'm very happy to have you up here this evening as our Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources. Any other comments or?
Taught my grandson.
Yeah.
Yeah. You were the yearbook advisor the year my daughter was on the yearbook. Now,
Robin, right?
yeah,
Wow.
So I'm very, very, very pleased at your rise. Don't forget, you were a teacher.
It has been a century, Jim. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we're now moving on to 8.08, Educational Services, approval of the 2001 through 2024 Local Control and Accountability Plan, or the LCAP. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
I have a motion by Board Member Coe. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second by Board Member Miller. Any questions from the board or any comments? And I believe we held a hearing and a presentation at our last board meeting related to the LCAP. Dr. Anderson.
Thank you, President Stillings. We also posted our LCAP plan on our district website, and we had no comments or questions regarding that.
Okay, great. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. We're now moving on to action item 8.09, the proposed budget for the 2021-2022 school year. And again, we had a hearing on this at our last meeting. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
I have a motion by Board Member Coe, the second.
Second.
I have a second by Board Member Miller. Any questions from the board? Any comments, Dr. Bremen?
Thank you, Mr. Snelling. So yeah, we, as you said, we presented last week at the board meeting at the hearing. And just as a reminder, this is based on the May revise. So when the state passes their final budget in a week or so, then any changes I'll bring back to the board. This is based on the best information we have today.
Very good, thank you. We have a motion and a second for the approval of 8.09. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries 5-0. 8.10 is the approval of the balances in excess of minimum reserve requirement. I believe we had a hearing on this particular item at the last meeting too, and nobody spoke to it during that hearing. Do I have a motion for approval?
Move approval.
I have a motion by Board Member Miller and a second by Clerk Ingram. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Chair votes aye, the motion carries 5-0. 8.11 is also a result of a hearing that we had at our last meeting. This is the 2021-2022 Education Protection and Spending Plan that was presented to us. Do I have a motion for approval?
Move approval.
Second.
I have a motion by Board Member Bannister and a second by Board Member Coe. Any questions or comments from anybody? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The chair votes aye, the motion carries 5-0. Now we're moving on to item 8.12. This is business services, a resolution related to the annual special tax, which is the Community Facilities District 1. Do I have a motion for approval?
Move approval.
I have a motion by Board Member Bannister. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Board Member Miller. Any comments from any board members? Board Member Ingram.
I just wanted to clarify that the change in this particular tax is directly from the voter approved initiative, and it's mandatory how this item changes. Is that correct?
That's correct, Mrs. Ingram. This was voted on the voters in 1989, and so forming the Community Facilities District number 1, and so these are what the regulations were set in the voter approved initiative in 1989.
Okay, thank you.
So these increases are statutory.
That's
They're
correct.
required, okay. All right, I have a motion and a second to approve 8.12. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries 5-0. We're moving on to, excuse me. We're moving on to item 8.13, business services, consultant agreement with Eric Hall and Associates. Do I have a motion for approval?
Move.
Move approval.
I have a motion by Board Member Miller and a second by Board Member Bannister.
Yes.
Okay, any questions from any of the board?
I just wanted to clarify that this contract is to oversee more than just the fire alarm improvements. This is some basic facility overseen since that department is spread thin these days. Is that correct?
We don't have a department anymore.
That's right. I was trying to be nice about that.
We don't have a director of
That's what
facilities.
that's what I meant. So, okay.
That's correct, Mrs. Ingram. We no longer have a direct facility, so we do have several projects in the works, as well as additional projects coming in with federal funding. And so this team would support those projects.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries 5-0. 8.14 is Care Solace. This to approve of service agreement with Care Solace, which assists individuals in finding local mental health related programs. Do I have a motion for approval?
Move approval.
Got a motion by Board Member Bannister and a second by Board Member Ingram. All those, any questions or comments? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Motion carries 5-0. 8.15 is the approval of InterQuest detection canines. Do I have a motion for approval?
Move approval.
I have a motion by Board Member Miller. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Board Member Ingram. Any questions or comments?
Are these going to our secondary campuses?
The answer is yes. Yeah.
This is the same group we used in the past, right?
It is.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries 5-0. Items 8.16 through 8.46 are all recommendations to purchase educational programs, curriculum, a variety of things, Chromebooks, those types of things. If the board allows, I'd like to take all of those together. And I will, okay, yeah, let's, we'll do the both and we'll talk, okay. So do I have a motion to approve 8.16 through 8.46 as presented?
So moved.
Wait, was it 1/6? Is 1/6
It's
correct?
1/6.
President,
Okay.
Yeah, 8 point, I'm sorry.
I believe
Okay.
we have the canines, interquest is 8.16, and then 8.17 is Blackboard
That's not what it
Connect.
says on
I
mine.
have
It's not
8.1 for the dogs.
What do you have?
8.15 for the dogs, yeah, in
Yeah.
request.
So that's interesting. 8.15 says Ursula's 8.1.
No.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know
Okay,
how
not on
that
our
could be.
agenda.
Huh.
So 8.15 was educational services, interquest detection canines. 8.16 through 8.46 are the ones being considered as a group right now.
Okay, right.
So do I have a motion for approval? We already do that?
Yes.
Okay, I wasn't quite sure.
Yeah, second.
So we have a motion and a second. Now, does anybody have any questions or comments? Board Member Ingram.
Are these, some of these programs, I recognize the names, we've been using them, so are some of these renewals, some of them, they're not just distance learning programs, they can be used in the classroom, is that correct?
Correct. Mrs. Ingram, our K-12 lead teacher team got together with myself and Mrs. Jackson, our Director of Teaching and Learning, and we went through to receive feedback in moving back into the classroom for in-person learning and integrating some of the instructional technology pieces into that. And we're also utilizing some of these tools within our summer school programs as well.
So do you foresee that you'll like evaluate these in a little bit to see if they're helpful now that they're moved into the classroom?
Correct. Some pieces that we've already seen as perhaps an example would be with Google Voice, one tool that we use. The number of licenses that we utilize during distance learning won't be the same as when we have in-person learning. Yet we also realized that was a good communication tool for some of our staff members to have communication with parents as well. And even a piece with having different meetings virtually parents. So some of them won't maybe be as many as when we had distance learning.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Dr. Anderson, can you describe just briefly what the process is for determining what types of programs you're recommending?
It was a year-long process, and in the springtime, we started looking at when we were returning to in-person learning, we changed the criteria for the different curriculum and instructional tools. So our team made agreements on what are not only standards-based alignment, but what are the different supports that our students will need. So that was what we matched when we used evaluation methods for these curriculum and instructional supports was, does it meet the needs of our students, but does it also meet this criteria as well in order to best support our students?
Okay. And then if I read the items right, this is a combination of funds, some supplemental and concentration grant, like LCAP kind of stuff.
Yes.
And then also I know we received some COVID relief funds, which I believe are the ESSER funds. Those are COVID relief.
Yes.
And there's a timeline on when we have to spend the COVID relief money.
Correct, by 2022.
Okay, so these are monies that were given to us to help mitigate some of the issues related to COVID. And that's what these items are.
Yes.
Okay.
Especially at the end of the items, we have additional social and emotional learning curriculum that our counseling team and teachers worked on this year as well that we'll be incorporating and enhancing for next year.
Okay, and I know this is about $1.3 million, 300,000 of it's for new Chromebooks, I think, or 1050. And then Renaissance Learning is a good chunk of change, like another 300. So those are two of the biggest items.
Yes,
Okay, any more questions?
We covered it.
Okay. Hearing no more questions, I do have I forgot who made the motion, who made the
I
second.
think Sharon and I.
Okay, so I have a motion by Board Member Bannister and a second by Board Member Ingram, thank you. To approve items 8.16 through 8.46. All those in approval say aye.
Aye.
President votes aye, motion carries 5-0.
President Slides, may I just add, in looking at the, as a recording secretary, just making sure the board
Yes.
knows that all of the votes were in the right spots. It's just for some reason the printout is reading different than what's on the screen.
Okay,
So those of you that have agendas, there might be a little numbering difference, but when it's on the screen, it's recorded correctly.
okay.
Also, just a note on the programs that the K-12 curriculum team selected, one of the things that we don't want to underestimate is some of the abilities our kids now have on digital platforms. And so even our TKers and kinders have honed their skills with computer learning. And so while we don't want to have everyone on the screen all the time, there are those things that we've purchased that are going to maintain their skills, which will help them as they go through the district and graduate and take on life, because here we are.
Yeah, so that piece that we had discussed in years past about how to get all the technology and make sure the kids were fluent. Yeah, that happened.
Yeah.
Okay. We're now at 8.47, Human Resources, which is a public hearing for the Yucaipa-Calimesa Educators Association initial proposal, contract amendments, and I will open the hearing at 7:27. Seeing nobody rushing to the podium, close the hearing at 7:28, we'll call it. I don't believe we need any action on that, correct? That's just a hearing. And now we have a public hearing, and this is a public hearing on the Board of Education's initial proposal to the to YCEA, and I will open up the hearing at 7:29. I'm using that clock over there, it's probably not exactly correct, but and close it at 7:30-ish. Okay, now we're moving on to 8.49, Human Resources. This is classified management and classified confidential employee salary bonus. Do I have a motion to approve as presented?
Move approval?
Got a motion by Board Member Bannister, a second.
Second.
I have a second by Board Member Miller. Any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, chair votes aye. Motion carries 5-0. And we're now moving on to 8.50, Human Resources, Certificated Administration and Senior Management Salary Bonus. Do I have a motion for approval?
Move approval?
Sure. I have a motion by Board Member Bannister. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Board Member Miller. Any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Chair votes aye. Motion carries 5-0. Now we're moving on to the consent calendar. Are there any items that any board member wants considered separately on the consent calendar? Okay, 9.01, do I have a motion for approval of the consent calendar as presented?
So moved.
I have a motion by Board Member Coe, second.
Second.
I have a second. Was that you, Ms. Ingram? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, Board Member Miller, a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries 5-0. Now we're moving on to item 10.01, additional administrative information. Ms. Binks.
Thank you, President Stillings. As we continue to have our Jumpstart program, we still have good numbers. Kids are coming out, and if you get a chance to visit any of the schools, Dr. Anderson will be here next week to take you about if you would like to go and see. We have a lot of hands-on learning going on. There's all kinds of science experiments, STEAM activities, and just a lot of great participation. And so we are excited about this session, the next two sessions, and we have about over 1,000 kids at the high school that are also participating. And so we are happy to have them back. Also, I would note that I participated in another Department of Health meeting this week. We are still awaiting any additional guidance that we can get as far as moving forward for the start of school. As soon as we know, we will communicate it out to our parents. I know that we are, as a body for the county, we are trying to leverage all of our resources to help those decisions go in a way that supports kids being able to come to school and learn and do all the things that they need to do. And we are doing our best to represent with our legislators, but we still don't have an absolute timeline as to when we would know. But as of yesterday, they thought maybe in the next couple of weeks that the guidance might change again.
Any other information, Dr. Anderson, Dr. Raymond? Okay, board member comments, Board Member Coe?
Everything went by so quickly. Again, congratulations to all of those who basically did a wonderful job in all of them. Congratulations, Chair, for your award, Kelly.
Thank you.
Okay, Board Member Miller?
Same thing. Super happy that we're moving forward. and that school's getting back to normal. And congratulations to all those getting the going the distance awards, and especially to you, Callie. Congratulations.
Board Member Bennett.
Yes, well, same thing. So Lori, the bus service, Jim, and Cal, congratulations to all of you for working so darn hard.
Board Member Ingram.
Oh, really well deserved tonight, really well deserved. And I want to apologize to the school district community that I was unable to make the retirement festivities. I heard they went really well, and it was a nice way to do it outside at, was it Mesa View you had it? And that I missed the end of year ceremonies, which I always love, because it's like the only time of the year where you feel like you can really, really be happy for everything. It's just such a great time. I'm sorry I missed those. I was able to zoom in on most everything. So, and I appreciate you making that accommodation for me while I was gone. So thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you. I would like to announce to the public and everybody's watching on Zoom that this will actually be the last meeting where we're going to be participating on Zoom. We'll be going back to normal meetings with the public in attendance in July. And also this evening we discovered too that we had a choice as board members, and I'm just going to explain this so people, if they're wondering that are watching, we did have a choice as to whether or not we wanted to wear a mask up here on the dais, depending on our personal circumstances and our personal choice. And so some of us chose to do that, and appropriately some chose not to do that, but I did just want to explain that. So again, yeah, well, I didn't want to really share that.
Sorry.
I was trying to.
Okay, you're trying to.
Well, I don't mind not vaccinated.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I was trying to be cool about it. That's okay. Anyways, but as I said, this will be our last meeting on Zoom, and I think there's been some positive to it. Actually, we've been able to reach out to a lot of folks, I think, online, and there's been a lot of interest, obviously, during the pandemic, relative to some of the decisions that we're making, whether people agree or disagree. There was definitely interest, and we've appreciated that, regardless of what the opinions were. We really have valued that. So it is nice to be up here on the dais with everybody for the first time in 15 months. We've been separated in this room. It actually felt awkward getting together tonight. It was a little uncomfortable at first. So, but we're glad that we're able to do it. And as it was mentioned, we're getting back to some normalcy, and we all want that.
Yeah.
So having said that, we are going to go into a special board meeting. It's going to be a short one after this one, but for this meeting, we are adjourned.